All right, what is up, everyone? I have some great information here today about longevity and kind of what that means, some factors to look out for, factors for you to handle, and things to consider in the longevity space. So, really, there's two camps in the longevity world, and they're a little bit different in some ways. So, these two distinctions kind of tell you, I guess, what camp you want to be on. This will also kind of tangent into a book I read where my closing statement here will also mention how you know going too far and too hard in this might make you kind of go crazy. But we'll get into that later. But here's the two camps. There's the people who want to live to 120 or more. There's that Brian Johnson guy from Blueprint who wants to live to like over 200 or never die or something like that, and he's spending like $2 million a year on supplements and training and stuff like that for his body and other things he's doing to make it that far. We'll see how that goes. If he does make it that far, we'll never know how far he makes it because he'll outlive all of us potentially. Who knows, right? So, again, so there's people that want to live to 120 or more. But then there's the people who just want to have a good health span during their lifespan. So those two words are very important in the longevity space. Your lifespan, a great grandpa that lived to 96, or a great grandpa that lived to 100, or your grandma lived to 90. All that's your lifespan to the day you die. Easy enough. But your health span is how healthy you are and how much you can do in that time frame until you die. So, are your last 10 years sitting there bedridden, or you mostly sit on the couch and just watch the news? That's not how I want to spend my last 10 years or more, or even my last year, really, to be honest. So, this whole conversation is to help you have a great health span during your lifespan. And if you want to live to 120 or more, this is a great start for you. There's a lot more you have to do to get there, but this to me, this is going to be a great health span during your lifespan conversation for longevity, and I hope this helps you. So let's get started. We're going to go over some metrics to consider, some tips for you to live by, and this is all just kind of the rudimentary start of the conversation. There's a lot more personal things you might want to look into on a deeper level, on a personal level, that you would want to even take up on coaching sort of thing. So this is again, kind of a introductory course for you if you haven't ever looked into the longevity space. But if you are if you're still kind of new to studying that whole subject, this will help you get started and hopefully hit some items that you haven't heard about yet and help you out. All right, so here's some metrics to get you there, just to kind of look at for starting. And I'm going to go over this fast and kind of go back over them in a little more detail. So your VO2 max has a good indicator of how healthy you are in your fitness. That's a good indicator if you're going to live a nice, good, healthy, long lifespan and health span. Grip strength. This one kind of surprises me, but it's one of the leading indicators that if you have good grip strength, you're going to make it far down the line. Makes sense though, even though it's still kind of surprising to me. It's kind of newer to the space as well, but grip strength is simply holding stuff and grabbing the groceries to walk from the door to the fridge or from the car to the inside. And it might only be 5-10 pounds in each bag, but those your current grip strength now in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s is going to be pertinent to when you're really old, okay, into your 70s, 80s, and 90s. So, with that being said, grip strength is something that I have started to add to my training as well. I should really add more to it, to be honest, but I'm talking about this a lot now because it's kind of a surprising indicator to me, but it is supposedly one of the biggest leading indicators for your health span down the line. Muscle mass. So no, I'm not talking like a giant dude that's 300 pounds of pure muscle and like 8% body fat. By muscle mass, I just mean there's muscle on your body, on your skeleton, and you have a good physique looking. Now we're talking about the look of your body, which is important to most people as well, but it's also for your longevity as well. So the older you get, you're going to become more frail. And into your 30s and 40s, that's when most people start to lose muscle mass automatically. And this we should really kind of double down in the gym and your protein to make sure you are retaining your muscle mass throughout years to come. That happens now at these levels, so it's easier down the road. Can you just start lifting out of nowhere in your 70s to kind of make up for some lost time? Yes. Is it going to be super helpful? Probably not super helpful. That's why you want to start that now. Things that you can do now will make more of a difference down the road. So, if you're constantly working out now and you're doing just like kind of a good workout, not necessarily great sort of thing, but you're being consistent with your diet, sleep, and exercise, you will have an easier time down the road either way. But for the long term, muscle mass will make a big difference in how well you will adapt in those later years. And there's even more protein studies that have come out lately where you have to actually add more protein to absorb it better in your body at that age. But that is, again, easier down the line for your body if you keep everything going now and from your 30s and 40s and on, sort of thing. One thing to keep in mind too is your ideal body weight. So just keeping a lower fat level. So I'm not talking get down to 8% body fat and maintain that. It's really hard to do. It's even hard to get down to 12%, to be honest. But not being overweight is the main gist here. So look at your height and weight. I would just simply Google what's a good height and weight for your current age and stuff like that, and consult your doctor. Okay, I'm not a doctor, of course, but this is going to be your looking for your ideal weight is kind of based on your doctor's recommendations. Most people know I need to lose weight or I don't, or maybe you need some more help there. We could talk about that on a case-by-case basis as well for if you want more help. But either way, long story short, lose some weight if you need to. Maintain that body weight the best you can, including your visceral fat. So it's one thing that's hard to see. So visceral fat is just the fat that goes around your organs, so you can't see it. But if you lose belly fat, you are losing visceral fat most likely at the same time, and that will help your fight any sort of diseases down the road. Now, you, again, can't see it, so if you can lower belly fat, you are losing visceral fat most likely. So keep that in mind as you're losing body fat, as you're also doing other things at the same time. All right, next, good blood pressure and cholesterol levels. So my doctor told me I'm one of the few people that he sees in the office for annual checkups in their 30s, because a lot of people don't they think they're good to go, think they're healthy. They're likely not. Even if you go to the gym all the time, just get your blood pressure checked. Check out your cholesterol levels. How's your triglycerides levels? Check all those things with blood work. The annual checkup is okay. They do a good little check. I know more of my doctor about staying in shape just by looking at him, but I'm not trying to hate here. But the reason I go is because he orders me a blood test afterwards. I go get that done and look at my results and compare them to my previous year. Those are done by annual checkups, of course. There are real intense blood panels you can do from outside of your doctor's world. You might have to pay for it out of pocket as opposed to insurance. But I also recommend those. I haven't done that yet, but it's something that I should probably do because you have a much deeper look at your levels. Now, while we're talking about the blood levels, keep in mind, they're going to go off of the national American average and say, you're doing great compared to the national average. Well, I don't care how other people are doing. I want to get better every year, and I want to be in the way higher end of all these levels to make sure I'm optimally fit now, because again, down the road, it's easier to stay in shape down the road. So when you consider your blood panel and you see I'm in the green, most doctors will give you this online chart and it'll say you're in the green level, you're doing great. Yeah, compared to, the national average, which is kind of terrible. Here's a stat for you. average testosterone in men has dropped significantly from the 90s till today. So today you'd have good levels, but you'd be bad towards the 90s levels. So what are we doing different? Exactly. Look at your own personal level and see where you really need to be on a person by person basis. Not, I'm good against the national average. That's really not going to be the best indicator in my mind. Okay. Find out what your RMR is. That's your resting metabolic rate. Long story short is this is the calories you burn at rest. So you eat, you sit down, and that's what you're burning at a minimum basis. So not including steps, not including workouts, and all that stuff like that. But how much do you burn? So of course, if you have more muscle mass, you will burn more calories automatically, and vice versa. So finding out what that is will help you find kind of what baseline of calories you need to be at on a daily basis, and adjust from there for any sort of weight loss or gain goals. Here's some life factors I want you to consider that these are the things that, certain things you definitely have to do, but some of them you can't get away from all the time, so don't let it make you crazy. There's a book I read called Outlive by Peter Attia. Great book, great information. And it's funny because at one point in the book, you can tell where he set it down and came back to go write it again later, and his mentality changed. You could tell that he later admits it in the later part of the book. And it's funny because I realized that the tone had changed in the book. So basically, he was kind of going crazy, getting all his metrics down to make sure he lives to over 100 and has a great time, or a great life. But he wasn't. He wasn't having a great life because he was going way too hard on all these metrics to make sure you have a perfect life. And he didn't even want to look at sugar. He thought it'd ruin his life and stuff. But later on, he goes, okay, that was too much. It was making me crazy. So he took a step back, and he said, as long as I do most of this stuff all the time and be consistent and do pretty good on a list that he kind of created, he feels like he's done his part to make a good health span during his lifespan. So again, if you can't get these every day, don't worry. Some of them you should though. Then definitely try to make sure you don't go crazy looking at this list. Okay. Anyway, quality sleep. You want to make sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours on most days. Minimum 7. After 9, there are studies that shows that you're not getting the same benefits, and the benefits actually kind of fall off a little bit. So don't worry. 7 to 9 is a great range. And one day you were going to get 5 or 6 because of work or kids. And it is what it is. I always try to make up for it on the weekend. I'm told that making up hours doesn't really help, but it does feel better, so I don't care. But on average, try to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and that's going to help you in tremendous ways. Your sleep has a lot more to do with your health and fitness than you probably realize. It just helps set up for a better time for the rest of your list and the rest of your goals, because basically you're going to have a tougher time when you are short on sleep, especially on a consistent basis. That's a whole other subject if you want to go into it on a way deeper level. But long story short, quality sleep, very important. Limit your alcohol. So I was under the impression for a long time that I could still have a beer or two every day and it's good to go. I was burnt out the calories I've drank last night and be good to go. That is not the case. Further studies have showed that the alcohol is messing with your gut microbiome and slowing you down on fat burning potential during your sleep and stuff like that. So basically, I quit drinking. So I wasn't getting hammered every night and having an alcohol problem per se, but because I had a beer or two every night, even on the weekends, that was slowing me down. So I backed off the alcohol, and I'll probably have a beer or two here and there, but it's been a few months at this point, and I feel great. It has helped me lose some weight over that time as well. So if that's a benefit for you, guess what? You're going to lose some weight, hopefully. Stress management. This part is the hard part because it's not something you can do every single day. Life's going to throw some stuff at you for stress. We have to learn how to manage it the best you can. Am I an example of that? Yes, I definitely need some time to step back and manage my stress way better on a lot of days, but I know this and I'm getting better at it. So that's something that it's probably the least thing on my list that I'm helpful in, because that is something that I need to work on more myself. But if you can manage your stress, learn how to calm yourself down for the day and remove the stress from the day, keep it up, because it's very important for kind of all of your goals entwined. Because if you're really stressed out, it's gonna be hard to sleep. Then you're gonna eat bad, and it just turns into a spiral. So manage your stress. It's gonna help a whole bunch, and also in the gym too. That's gonna also reflect your gym progress by just managing your stress right there. Move more and sit less. So if you have a job that you sit down the entire time, try to figure out if your company will provide you one, or see if you can add one for a stand-up desk. So sitting, they say, is the new smoking. I don't have enough data on that to prove yes or no, but it is terrible for you, for your posture, for your metabolic rate. It's just going to be way better to stand more than sitting as much. So sitting is pretty terrible for your body in so many ways. I'll have another video on this one day, because there is a lot more information on this. But moving more, at work, I'll even use the restroom on a different floor, just so I have to go up and down the stairs and get more steps in, to get away from the desk for a minute, just to feel a little bit better on that. Okay, so make sure you are moving more and sitting less. I put this on here because I know there's still people out there that still smoke. It's been a lot less these days in 2025 than it has been in years, which is great. But if you are still a smoker, quit now. Quit immediately. Do the best you can. It's a tough thing to kick. I kicked it 7 years ago, and I wish I never started, of course. But I promise you, this whole list, I actually concentrate on that more than anything on this list right now, is to quitting smoking, if that's still something that you do, because that's going to be huge to get out of your system immediately. The other stuff is still going to help you quit smoking, but make sure you quit smoking ASAP, okay? Again, that's another million hours we can put into that video, but I think you get the idea how terrible smoking is for you. Also, to save some money, great. All right, reducing your sugar. So a lot of people don't realize how much sugar is in the American diet and how much sugar is in your healthy shakes. Excuse me. But it's terrible. Sugar is everywhere. Limit your sugar the best you can. It's gonna be out there. Do I still have a piece of cake on my kids' birthdays and stuff like that? Yeah, of course. But I don't have something every single day. I used to have something almost every single day that was full of sugar for sure, if not more. But sugar is in a lot more things than you want to know. Let me ruin one thing for you real quick, is barbecue sauce. If you love barbecue and stuff like that, there's a ton of sugar in that sauce. Just the sauce alone, sauce and ketchup, or sugar and ketchup. It's everywhere. So watch out for the sugar. Buy the low sugar options when you can, or zero sugar options when you can. Of course, there's other things they put in there that you have to watch out for. That's a whole other subject again. But reducing your sugar is huge for many factors inside your body. It's not just like, okay, this isn't a situation where you can say, I had 50 grams extra sugar yesterday, times that by 9 calories. That's how much extra calories I'm going to burn off the gym, and I'm good to go. That is not the case. That is not the case. There are CrossFitters out there that are slamming sugar during their workouts and stuff like that. I don't know how they do it, but I'm also not in the top end of the CrossFit world, so maybe their bodies are different. But for the most part, sugar is terrible in your body. Try to reduce it as much as possible. Speaking of CrossFit, try to work out between 3 and 5 times a week or so. There's a lot of different times they prescribe out there, but it really comes down to how much time you have to put into it, how hard you're going at the workout. If you're doing a light workout, try to make it a little longer. If you're going really hard, great. Put in an effort and then go rest. Get your protein afterwards, okay? But for the most part, between 3 to 5 times a week or so, at minimum, to keep your body moving. And I would balance some good endurance pieces, but also make sure you emphasize your strength pieces. The strength pieces, we go back to the muscle mass piece we spoke about earlier, but and your grip strength, stuff like that. But your strength training will have way more dividends to pay in the long run, where you run, you burn. It's gonna help your running is gonna burn some calories, okay, but you're helping your heart health with the run. Great, good job. But next, you're gonna have more dividends with strength training than you would with your with a run. So I would emphasize more strength training than your running, but definitely have a balance to both at some point. Okay. Oral health. So there's a lot of studies that ties your oral health to your heart health directly. So that's flossing, brushing, and stuff like that, and keeping your gums healthy. It helps for your teeth and eating too, but also for the long term of your heart health. Oral health is connected a lot more than people realize. So make sure you are taking care of that really well. Here I have regular checkups. I already had that. We already mentioned that, but make sure you're doing that annually and then with the blood panel as well. If you want the real extensive one, you have to seek an outside clinic for that, and you can get a real extensive blood panel from there. There's a cool rule from the Okinawans, Okinawa, Japan. So they live by a rule that says when you're 80% full, you stop eating. Want to know why? Because your brain tells your stomach tells your brain, hey, we're full, but guess what? You're already too late. You're already probably over 100% full by the time the signal touches the brain. So when you stop at 80%, the food that you still ate since then is now going down, and now you are 100% full. But you stopped at 80 because you are there's like a delay basically from your stomach to your brain there. So make sure you are stopping at 80%. Otherwise, you're going to overeat, but this will help you reduce your calories when necessary as well. Now, if you're increasing training and stuff like that, but make sure you have the right amount of calories in your body and make sure you're getting the right amount of protein and vitamins. But in most cases, you can stop when you're 80% full, because that is when it's going to keep you from overeating is the main gist there. Now, keeping your brain active too is very important, because you will start losing your cognitive abilities if you're not using it well. So this could be just reading a book, doing puzzles, or learn a new language. So those three things, and then there's a million more examples, of course, will help your brain stay active, which is going to help you keep moving at those later years. So how do you do that? Well, it's simple enough. You just make sure you do something at least a couple times a week, especially like reading, and just keeping your brain active. So, that doesn't mean watching the news or TV. That means actually engaging your brain and doing something to feed back to, so that you can help keep your brain active. Another piece on here is having a good social circle. So having a social circle will help you. It has a lot of effects on your just your overall brain, that is going to make you feel part of something. It's going to help you feel this being social has a lot more effects on your entire body than you really think. It's all internal; you don't really see it, but you do notice the difference when you are being more social. I was real busy the last few months, but I was with some buddies a couple months ago for a weightlifting competition actually, and my wife noticed I was like generally just a lot more happy and just more engaged and stuff like that when I got back, because I was just feeling better after being social. So I gotta try to be social with the kids, but I have to be social with old friends and stuff like that too. It's very important. And have a purpose. So it's a weird example, but unfortunate one as well for a lot of reasons. But Joe Paterno, he was like super old, still coaching football. Then that scandal hit Penn State, and he resigned, and he was dead in like a year or two. That example is kind of it's a crazy one, like I said, but his purpose was gone, and I think he would have made it a couple more years after, or even longer. had he not, had to step away from football. He had to for the scandal. I get it. That's the whole other thing. But his purpose was gone, and it ate him alive inside, and he was gone, unfortunately. And a very famous coach, of course. Now, there's, like I said, to wrap this up, there's a lot of crazy things on here in this list. Like, I didn't get my 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Oh no, what's going to happen? Oh no, I had a beer last night. Oh no, I'm really stressed. Don't worry about that. Okay, it's going to happen. You can, just try to stay in the lines the best you can. When you leave the lines, try to inch it back and get back to it, if you will. But don't let it drive yourself crazy, because that's only going to stress you out more. So just try to do a good job. Do the 80% rule sort of thing. 80% great, 20% But as long as you reduce the alcohol, quit smoking, and you're exercising and eating pretty well most of the time, you're gonna do great. Now, if you really want to make sure you live to 100 and have a really great lifespan, do these things that we mentioned and then more, and try to stay in the lines. And then when you get out of the lines and have a bad, you go out and have a real big dinner and you feel like you're just, gaining 200 pounds, all right, now take it easy for a couple of days. But don't let it drive you crazy, though. I hope this helps quite a bit, because this is a great list to start with in the conversation of lifespan and health span and longevity. And I really hope you want to take more active life choices to help you. I'm going to have more videos out soon. Have a good day.